Okay, guys, so this week I'm really excited to be bringing you a video looking into the Cesar Diaz square face alternative, or should you say the square face in a new case. This is going to be a video this week on the Preacher, made from a guy called Peter McMahon over at Homestead-amps. His amplifiers are in some great players' hands right now. Marcus King, for example, using them. Countless other people, Warren Haynes. Just incredible sounding amps. A little background on Pete is that he was alongside Cesar Diaz before he passed away. And after he passed away, he carried on making the square faces. So if you see some of the later models, square faces without the signature inside, without Caesar's signature inside, sorry, you'll see a little Peter McMahon, and that's Pete who made it, carrying on the square face in the shell for a bit before he decided to rehouse them in the Preacher. I've had a Cesar Diaz, and I've had also a Pete McMahon square face. And now I've got the Preacher Homestead, which has been loaned to me from a chap called Brad over at Don't Forget the Fuzz on Instagram. Definitely worth checking out. The guy really knows his gear, knows his tone, and is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to these kind of things. So yeah, make sure you check him out. He's been kind enough to send this out for me to try and see what I think alongside other pedals that I've tried. So what do I think? Well, I think it's very, very similar, if not identical, to a square face. I think a lot of these things that you pay a lot of money for, obviously are for the fact of having it made by Cesar himself, or in other fields you might be paying for a name, or things can be similar. Some clones are identical, if not similar. This thing is really great. It's the cleans are exceptional. For those who've been following me for a while, you know that fuzz face cleans is kind of what I like using the fuzz for. That's where I favor the fuzz tones. I could be wrong on this, but a lot of the Hendrix kind of clean tones that we know and love, Stevie clean tones, he famously used obviously a square face. I think like Lenny and stuff like that might have been square face rolled off clean tones. There's nothing like it that gives you that glass crystalline that a fuzz can give. When I first got into fuzzes, I didn't really understand them, and I shied away from them. But now, after trying a lot of them and really understanding them, they're an incredible circuit. If you were to just take a fuzz and play a gig, you could do so comfortably if you used your guitar part. And that's where a good fuzz comes to life, is the cleanup and how it interacts with your equipment. So yeah, the cleans are exceptional. The fuzz is thick. I'd say it's probably, if I'm honest, probably not quite as thick as I had a Red Diaz that Chris King Robinson has got now. And that was exceptionally thick. Hard to explain. Never harsh. Even when I put it into a clean amp, like if you run a fuzz face that's not great into a clean amp, it can get really thin and brittle sounding. And that's why you'll see people like Doyle Bramall perhaps running, the Jan Ray with it to try and smoothen out the fuzz. And but to me it's like, why have a fuzz pedal if you've got to use something else to make it sound good? So a good fuzz pedal should sound great through any amp that you're running, whether it be clean or dirty. I favor to run this though into a dirty amp and just not go full fuzz. Go like 8 on the guitar knob, and it just adds like a perfect amount of sizzle. More of a driven fuzz tone. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you some clean tones. I'll be playing from a vibroverb straight in. I'm going to add a little echo probably for one of the tracks. And then I'm going to play something which is going to look more at the driven fuzz tones. And I won't be twisting parameters, as I always say. I'm just going to give you what I think is the best tones that I can get out of this. So yeah, these are the Preacher from Homestead-amps. If you can, get one, I'd say get one. But I think these are probably harder to get than the Cesar Diaz pedals. I've got a little thing on my reverb, and I've never seen one of these come up, so that's a great find, Brad, you know, deep down the rabbit hole. And yeah, it's a great find, it's a great fuzz. So without further ado, let's get into it. Actually, one more thing. As always, if you could like, subscribe, and share, you know, it means a lot to me. It's going to push me up the feed. It's going to help me with my algorithms and get me higher up to where I need to be. I'm putting a lot of effort into these videos, and not that I'm asking for anything back too much, but if you guys could, you know, let me know that it's reaching you in some way, that pushes me further up the feed, and it's going to help me to produce more of these kind of videos. Because I love doing it. I genuinely love doing this, you know. It's a passion of mine, and I love to share anything I can. So yeah, let's get into it.